When is racism okay? What if it's coming from the mayor of Chicago himself? Mayor Brandon Johnson was just confronted with a shocking question. Why are you a racist? The exchange you're about to see starts out intense and gets even more explosive as Johnson tries to sidestep allegations. And after this video, I'm going to show you another clip that I honestly can't even believe. This is Andy with Trending Politics. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video. Let's get into it.
Why are you a racist? Mayor Johnson.
Yeah.
Please turn the mic on. Thank you. Real Chicagoans woke up this morning relieved that the Department of Justice is finally investigating your race hustle. As someone who grew up on the south side of Chicago, I've heard a lot of race hustlers in my life, trust me, but they were usually marching around outside of City Hall, which is what makes this so embarrassing and dangerous. Very, very dangerous to the city of Chicago.
Okay, we need the question.
I'm more than happy to ask this question. It's long overdue. For over a year, real Chicagoans, white and black, have been telling me that your black power rhetoric is bringing the city backwards from a place that
we need the question.
Had overcome. You want the question?
Please.
Real Chicagoans want to know, why are you a racist?
Well, first of all, I reject the idea and the premise that somehow that's an actual legitimate question.
You want that?
All right, we're going to go to the next one. Alice?
The next question, my follow-up question is a businessman, Robert Gomez, had his riverfront restaurant license yanked. You said that the reason you hire black people is because they're the most generous race on the planet. His riverfront restaurant license was yanked and given to a black restaurateur. That has, once again, reinforced the belief among real Chicagoans, white and black and Mexican, that you are a racist. What do you say to those people?
Again, I reject the premise that somehow that your question has any legitimacy. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you. We'll go to Alice.
You've just seen Mayor Johnson dodge a direct accusation of racism. Now watch him flip the script entirely. In this clip, Johnson announces a reparations task force and apologizes publicly for the historical treatment of black residents in Chicago. If you thought his deflections earlier were bad, wait until you hear this. Here's Mayor Brandon Johnson in his own words. Brace yourself because this one's a doozy.
City of Chicago. I apologize for the historic wrongs committed against black people in Chicago. I stand here today proud to sign an executive order that creates the reparations task force to support the strategy, the implementation, and the engagement of Chicago black reparations agenda.
Brandon Johnson has sparked outrage and a United States Department of Justice investigation based on these comments. Take a look.
The number one employer of our people is our people. What I'm saying is, when you hire our people, we always look out for everybody else. We are the most generous people on the planet. The deputy mayor is a black woman. Department of Planning and Development is a black woman. Infrastructure deputy mayor is a black woman. Chief operations officer is a black man. Budget director is a black woman. Senior advisor is a black man. One thing that I know for sure that I have to do over these next 2 years, every single dime that our people have been robbed of, I want to make sure that that is returned 2-3-fold. We have 6 developers that have received the first $30 million for investment. 6 developers. Of those 6 developers, 5 of them are black and 3 are women. BOA Construction received the prime construction contract at O'Hare under my administration. It's the first black prime construction worker company to have a prime contract anywhere in the United States of America. The table is designed for our people to sit at, the main table, the main course, the main investments, to ensure that these professional services, that our people get a chance to participate in them.
Instead of virtue signaling and setting up a reparations task force, Mayor Johnson should be addressing the real problems facing Chicago right now today. Here's what he should actually focus on. First, tackle the soaring murder rate head on. Chicago is infamous for violence, losing countless innocent lives every single year. Johnson needs clear, aggressive plans to restore safety, support police, and rebuild trust within the community. Families shouldn't have to fear for their safety every single day. Crime isn't just a statistic, it's devastatingly real, hurting families, destroying lives, and hurting businesses. Johnson should be focused on prioritizing funding and resources for law enforcement and community-based safety initiatives, not pushing divisive policies. Second, Johnson needs to immediately reverse his disastrous economic policies. The proposed $300 million property tax increase and other massive tax hikes are crippling Chicago families and driving businesses and residents away. You don't fix a city's finances by chasing residents out with higher taxes. High taxes are only deepening economic inequality and hurting local businesses and worsening unemployment. Johnson needs to implement business-friendly policies that encourage economic growth, attract new employers, and keep jobs in Chicago. Third, transparency and clarity on the migrant crisis is essential. Chicago residents deserve clear policies, not vague promises and unclear action plans. And real leadership involves straightforward communication and effective solutions, neither of which Johnson has delivered. And the lack of effective management is causing tension in communities. It's draining city resources and creating confusion and total mistrust. Clear guidelines and transparent handling would help unite Chicagoans and around practical solutions. And fourth, Johnson must stop. He's got to stop playing the blame game every time he's criticized. Real leaders take responsibility. They face challenges directly and find solutions, not scapegoats. Constant shifting blame to political opponents only worsens the city's division and mistrust amongst the residents, which is already high. But these aren't the only issues Johnson is mishandling. His openly race-based hiring practices have triggered a federal investigation from the Department of Justice, questioning if civil rights laws are currently being violated. Using race as the primary criteria for appointments is not just ethically questionable, it's potentially illegal. Chicago deserves leadership committed to fairness and equality, ensuring everyone has opportunities based on merit and qualifications. And his handling of Chicago's nearly $1 billion budget deficit has been nothing short of catastrophic. Johnson's proposed tax increases on properties and alcohol were completely opposed by citizens and business owners alike, resulting in rejection by the city council. This isn't leadership, it's economic recklessness. The city's financial crisis needs thoughtful, strategic budgeting, spending control, smarter investments, not reckless tax hikes that burden families. Johnston's divisive rhetoric further inflames tensions, and instead of addressing legitimate concerns, he repeatedly resorts to accusing his critics of racism, deepening divisions in the community, and undermining public trust. A true leader listens, unites, and works constructively with all communities to solve real issues. And let's not forget Johnson's very public failure in managing basic city infrastructure, roads in disrepair, inefficient public transportation, and chronic neglect of public spaces. Effective leadership means ensuring that basic city services and infrastructure function reliably, improving the quality of life of citizens every day. Finally, Johnson should focus on improving Chicago's education system. This is 101. Schools in Chicago struggle with poor performance and limited resources, affecting thousands of students' futures. Investing in quality education, modern facilities, and dedicated educators is crucial to creating long-term success and breaking cycles of poverty. Chicago citizens deserve better leaders who prioritize safety, prioritize economic health, clear communication, and accountability. Johnson's current policies and behavior are not just ineffective, they're actively harming the city. We'll keep spotlighting these critical issues because accountability matters. Chicago deserves better. This is Andy with TrendingPolitics.com. Like, subscribe, and stay informed.